Imagine waking up tomorrow and having the freedom to do absolutely everything you wanted to do while feeling abundantly fulfilled and having the freedom to accomplish everything. My dear friend, my mentor, Dr. Liam P. Schubel, is with us on the Chiropractor's Edge show today. Liam, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Dr. Jake Hansen. An absolute pleasure always to spend time with you, and super excited to be sharing with your audience some tips, tools, and strategies to gain more time freedom, more financial abundance, and in the chiropractic realm, greater clinical outcomes in their offices.
So Liam, here in about an hour, I'm heading to my practice. Just takes a few minutes to get there. Liam's closest practice is what? It's not too far. What is it? 3,000 miles away, Liam?
Yeah, maybe a little more than that, but yeah, it's quite a drive in the plane. Uh, but yeah, yes. So I have offices now, 24 offices, principally located in Peru, the country of Peru in South America. Colombia and the Dominican Republic. And the Dominican Republic is actually the closest one, Jake. I think it's it's a little farther than Florida. So probably 1,500, 2,000 miles. So that's a lot closer.
It's a lot closer. You guys,
Yeah.
I have to tell you, in a day today where information, knowledge, mentors, coaches, there's so many, knowledge is literally at our fingertips. With our voice, we can ask, Google, Alexa, we can ask for any information. And so you have to choose very wisely where you consume information. And you need to choose very, very wisely who you choose to be your mentor and your coach. All my mentors and coaches have truly changed my life. And they have mentors and they have coaches. And man, what's the old saying? The proof's in the pudding, right? That's what Mama always taught us. Hey, the proof's in the pudding. Hey, this sounds great, but show me the proof. Show it to me. Well, Liam is proof in the pudding, and so am I. And I remember after practicing for years and years, and I decided, hey, it's time to do my own practice. I remember meeting Liam at Mile High, which Mile High is coming up, you guys, June 2nd through 5th. It is going to be absolutely awesome. It's the Matrix Unplugged. We are unplugging your brains and your minds from the gunk and getting into real reality. Because Liam and I and Danny Knowles and Rochelle and everyone within this realm of chiropractic, we know and understand and have the belief that chiropractors are going to be, that they should be among the most wealthiest, influential leaders in the world. And it's going to come from chiropractors. But Liam and I met, and I'll never forget meeting Liam, because at this time, we were just starting our own practice. I was coming, I had a brain injury years before that. And I remember talking to Liam saying, I'm trying to do things on my own. I have a lot of tools. I have a lot of strategies. And Liam was able to open my mind to what is really possible by utilizing what I had and then strategically putting them into a system and then drastically adding to that system in a way where we went from having literally nothing in our pocket, literally nothing in our pocket, to this year, our practice, we're going to collect far over $1 million. We're going for $2 million this year. We have some incredible opportunities, but we have the freedom to achieve what we want to achieve. And that's what I love about you, Liam, is Liam, you guys, again, he has 24 practices. He's involved in 10 other businesses that bring him joy. But because of his influence within chiropractic, he now is afforded to spend time doing what he does. I remember the first time I saw you, I'm like, you went on an 8-mile hike today? You played with your girls for 6 hours? You went to Thailand for 6 months and you went to a different, beach out of National Geographic each month. Like, does this guy ever work? Right?
Well, you said it at the outset of the program, is that time freedom is really what it's all about. You'll find, when you're not doing well financially, really financial abundance is your primary goal. But you'll find that once you start to achieve that level of financial abundance, it all becomes about time freedom. And, it's not that I don't work. It's that I work much smarter and more focused than ever before. And I remember listening to, you talk about mentorship. I remember listening to Pat Tempo, a well-known name in our group, and he was saying that he was hanging out with a bunch of billionaires and millionaires, and he said the difference between the millionaire mindset and the billionaire mindset, the millionaire mindset still has a tendency to jump on every opportunity that comes their way because they want to, make that next level. Billionaires sit back, take a look at all the different opportunities that are presented, and then say, out of all these opportunities, which one is going to have the most impact? Let me jump on that one. So it's not a question of jumping at every opportunity. It's a question of analysis. It's a question of saying, where can I make the biggest impact? So I think along with our, to-do list and our goals and all that, we should also be looking at effectivity. I don't know if that's a word, but the effectiveness of what it is we're doing. When we work in the Schubel Vision Elite mentorship program, we see a lot of people that are confused at first, saying, you know what, I'm working so hard, I'm doing so much. It's like the universe is not fair. Somebody who puts so much time and effort, right? And I'm not having the success that I should be having. And then you start to analyze what those action steps are during the day. You say, well, of course, you're doing a bunch of menial tasks that could be taken care of by other people if you had the systems in place. And then you could be focused on tasks that only your talent can bring to the table. And that's the talent that you can monetize and that you can get yourself free and extricate yourself from situations that are tying you up and limiting your effectiveness, and then just be pure and powerful. And that's, I think, one of the keys to strategizing and systematizing is having a focus on where can I make the biggest impact and where can I be most effective. And I think, business systems, again, we always talk about the difference between working in your practice or in your business and on your business.
Yes.
And, you mentioned I spent 4 to 6 months in Thailand, and by the way, we were opening up offices during that 4 to 6 months. So you can't say I wasn't working.
Exactly.
But I was working through other people. In other words, I had to set up that situation for that to happen. So somebody asked me the other day, hey, I saw those acrylics in your office. They're really sharp. The things you have on the wall, the PR things that you do. Can you tell me some details about that? And I said, frankly, no. And then, well, what do you mean, no? What are you trying to hold out on me? And I said, I know nothing about that. Well, then how does it happen? Well, I created a team of talented people that know everything about that. And that's what they do. So I have a team that is entirely focused on opening up offices. But I had to set that up. That was my work, right? My work was setting that team up. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. One of my talents, and I think one of the talents everyone should be working on, is the talent to bring together teams under a vision. That's what you mentioned at the outset of the program, is having a vision, right? And being able to articulate that vision in a motivational and effective manner so that that team knows where they want to go, and you put the right people into place so that you set it and you forget it. And then when you have your meetings with these teams, so I have different teams. I have a financial team. I have a legal team. I have a marketing team. I have a development team, right? So when I have the meetings with these teams, that's my work, Jake. So I'm in Thailand. I say, okay, on Friday at 2:00 in the afternoon, I want to have a meeting with my marketing team. Well, I don't tell them what to do. I ask them what they're doing. I ask a series of questions and I listen. And then I listen to what the challenges are that they're having. And then I develop either more teams or systems to overcome those challenges. Or I get together in a roundtable and say, look, if we can't fail, what's the solutions to these? Like, let's come up with the wildest solutions we could think of and start thinking to grow rich. Let's start thinking to grow rich. And I think so many people think it's in the doing. And one of the things I've always admired about you, Jake, and when I first met you, I knew that you had that spark that was going to just take off because you're an implementer. And so you implement, and that's so many people like to pontificate, like to talk about what they want in life. But when it comes to the action steps, they don't make those happen. But you took it to a next level. You not only took the action steps, but then you came back to the mentor and said, hey, these are the action steps I'm taking. Do you see any holes in this? Can I improve on this at all? And that's all I think all the time. All I'm asking myself day in and day out in my chiropractic business specifically is, how can I serve more people? And how can I serve the people that I'm already serving better? And what are the blockages? What are the limitations that I have in my environment that could limit my growth? And can I proactively address those potential limitations and blockages before they even happen? See, Gretzky said, I'm a great hockey player. I'm the best in the world because I skate to where the puck is going. So I'm not looking at where my business is only now. I'm saying is, what are the challenges that could happen in the future and how can I preempt those so that I'm not reacting? That's the thing. Most people that are non-systems based and that are personality driven in their practices or in their businesses, they're just reacting to everything that's going on. And reactionary strategies, you can see on the world stage right now in politics, reactionary politics is not a good thing in the long term. And I would say reactionary business is also not a good thing. When you could bring logic, like our friend Travis Corcoran always talks about bringing logic and philosophy. One of the greatest things about chiropractic is its philosophy, is its logic. When you can bring that to the table and apply it, right? Because logic and common sense is invalid unless you can actually apply it in a real world situation. Once you start doing that, you can watch yourself take off, and you could do it without stressing yourself out. Like you said, I mean, most people would have a tough time running one office. If it was a home practice, they have to go downstairs. That's their commute. Or running two offices if one's in one side of town and one's in the other side of the town. So I have offices that are thousands of miles away. How do you do that? Well, you do that by developing teams and developing systems and understanding people and understanding how the power of asking the right questions at the right time and then implementing and predicting what are the challenges that you're going to have in the future. And you made the statement, I think, either while we're on air or off air, BJ Palmer said, whenever you think you're ripe, that's when you start to rot. And so you need to be like the Japanese talk about Kaizen, that state of constant improvement. I'm always looking at how I can be better. I'm always thinking, who knows more than me? How can I, get connected with them? What questions do I need to ask to those people? Who's doing this better than me? Where can I find them? That's the kind of, they talk about Ford and they talk about Edison. And the common thing, if you read those biographies, Einstein, all those biographies of these amazing individuals that transformed our world, Elon Musk today in today's world, they have Steve Jobs, they have this innate curiosity, this fascination. And that's my thing. Look, I'm in business because I enjoy it. I'm in business because I'm fascinated that you can continually grow and continually help more people. And I find that the higher level I go, the more I want to give. See, I'm not in an end goal. And so many people are in this end goal. I'm going to hit this number, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million. And then I'm out, baby. I'm out because I hate what I'm doing. I just got to get through it until I get to that number and I'm out. That's never been me. I love what I'm doing and I want to do more of it because what I'm doing is helping more people. And that's where the joy in life comes. Sure, I like being able to drive a Ferrari. Sure, I like being able to take a vacation for 4 to 6 months. But what I love is watching people's lives transform because of the talents that I've got in this world, in this lifetime, and being able to distribute those talents in a way that effectively saves lives, improves lives, and optimizes lives. I mean, we have the greatest gig ever in chiropractic, and the only thing that limits us is our inability to understand systems.
Absolutely. Can we talk about a couple of those points here in detail?
Sure.
So, if you guys have read, so one of the greatest books, and Liam put me onto this years and years and years ago, was Think and Grow Rich, right, by Napoleon Hill.
Sure.
Absolutely incredible. But you remind me of the modern day Henry Ford. Henry Ford was a genius guy. I mean, it's Ford, right? And regardless if you guys, Ferrari, Ford, he was a genius man. He created a brand, but people would say, I mean, who do you think you are? Do you think you know everything? He goes, well, no, but I have this little silver button in my office. And when I don't know something, I push that button and I can get the answers from the experts to anything I want. So he created teams. So I would like for you, Liam, to talk, because one of the biggest concerns I have, so I have in the Chiropractor's Edge, and I have in my portfolio, I have all the questions that I get constantly asked. Like, how do you take a vacation? How do you hire? When do you hire? And here's the number one thing I hear first: I can't. I can't hire an office manager.
I love this. I love this.
Hire an associate.
I love that.
Can't. So they say, hey, when can I do this? Because I can't. So would
I
you
love it.
please share? Because you created, I mean, you have multiple teams
Yeah.
on multiple businesses. And again, you guys, Liam has 24 uber successful chiropractic offices, uber successful. So please share with us, again, talk about why the mentality of I can't first, but then why that's a limiting belief that is crippling them. And so how do we create teams, and how do we create that abundance mindset? How do we do that? How do you do that?
I think this has to be one of the best questions that's ever been asked to me. And I do a lot of podcasts. Do you know that as I've traveled around the world, what I've found in poverty consciousness and Latin America specifically has been one of my focuses. And I know you'll get this because you speak Spanish, but I'll translate as well. What's very common in the service industry in Latin America is to hear these two phrases: no se puede y no hay. So you can't do that, and there isn't any. So the first thing I start out with any team that I'm creating is some ground rules. And one of the ground rules I have for all my teams is that I never, ever, ever want to hear we can't do this or this can't be done. And I never want to hear there isn't any. If we can't do it, if you think we can't do it, we got to find the way to do it. If there isn't any, we got to get some of it. You see, we have to win C or C, yes or yes. That's the attitude of winning. They talked about, I think it was one of the great generals of all time. And they said, you can't go over those mountains. And he said, we're going to go over them, through them, under them, around them. But we are going through, it was Hannibal. It was General Hannibal. We are going to have success because if there's no road, we're going to make a road. If there's no bridge, we're going to make a bridge. We are not participating in the no can do philosophy, because no can do is loser. That's loser philosophy. You can always do it. You just have to find the way. And if you can't find a way, you make the way.
That is so absolutely critical. So are you of the belief system that if you say there isn't a way, that I can't, possibly with your limited experience, and I'm not talking you, but I'm talking in general.
Sure.
There's a possibility where you say, yeah, I've never built a plane. I can't build a plane. Yeah, but how many people do we know that could build a plane? I can't open 24 offices in other countries. Well, but someone who could, right? And that limiting belief is so critical, because we understand the power of neurology and what the mind does. When you say you can't, your brain will do whatever it takes to manifest that truth. If you're looking for negative, you'll find it. Looking for positive, you'll find it. So knowing that how you talk to yourself, the voice in your head, is critical. And it doesn't mean you're oblivious. What you're sharing, Liam, is you're not talking about being oblivious and being negligent and being ignorant, right? With saying, I'm going to make $1 billion this year. I mean, I love that attitude, but you have the systems and the right people. So it has to start here first. You get that out of here. You talk a lot about, and again, we're going to keep going on how to create teams. But you talk a lot about neurolinguistics, right? About how not only for yourself and for your team, but for your patients, but how do we program ourselves through our talk, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we use a lot of neurolinguistic anchors, in our practice. So when we do an adjustment, I've seen so many people, for example, do an adjustment and it's like robotic, click, boom, click, boom, click, boom, click, boom. And I'm like, this is an uninspiring environment you're creating. You just reconnected that human being to their optimal expression of life force, and you're doing click, boom, click, boom. When you are outside my office, okay, and you're listening to me adjust, this is what you hear. Wow, that was awesome. Phenomenal. Oh, that moved like butter. I love seeing that. That was great. Let's do some more of that. You get it? It's a party. It's fun. It's exciting. This is the greatest thing that ever happened. You want to create, like Disney talked about, that experience, and I'm talking Walt Disney before the whole organization got woke. Okay. I'm talking Walt Disney talked about creating this magical experience for families. You could show up at Walt Disney's place and everybody's like, hi, come on board the ride. Good. Please put your feet in. Please don't do this. Please don't do that. Or you could say, hey, welcome to Disney. Come on to the magical world, right? He has this whole plan and this scheme.
Yes.
Every detail is about creating that experience. And that's what you have to, if you don't have that, you have to rework that into your practice. You've got to create, people love to invest in inspiration. They hate desperation.
Wow.
They hate mediocrity. That's expensive. If you want to charge a lot of money for a mediocre experience, then things get expensive. If you want to charge a lot of money for a desperate experience, then things are expensive. But if you want to charge a lot of money for an absolutely exhilarating, inspiring experience, well, then they say, I am lucky I get to experience this and I'm willing to pay a premium because this is an elite experience. There is no other doctor that creates this environment like the one that's in my office. And you have to be the doctor that you would like to go see. Anybody that I go see, forget about doctor, any professional, any business that I go into that makes me feel special, that makes me feel like I'm a part of an elite crew, that makes me feel like I've got the best, I feel great about forking over that money. I'm thankful that I'm be able to participate in this experience. And that's what I think so many people don't realize. In neurolinguistic programming, the anchoring that you're doing, the pattern break, the pattern interrupt that you do with people, like, hey, doc, I'm here to, treat the symptoms. I know you're talking about vertebral subluxation and everything. And I go, listen, we've already tried that. Is that correct? Would you agree that you've tried to treat the symptom and the pathology and the disease process over and over? Has that worked? No. Right. That's why we're here. Listen, the definition of nutso is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. One of the reasons that we have phenomenal results in this office is because we do things completely different. Are you ready to go? Boom. Yeah, doc, I'm in. That makes sense, doc. Of course, doc. And that's the whole thing is they want what we have. They just don't know it yet. And you've got to create the bridge. And in order to create the bridge, you have to understand the power of communication. And part of the power of communication is infiltrating that communication with certain neurolinguistic programming strategies. Those are some of the things we teach in the Schubel Vision Elite system.
I love, one of my favorite stories is, and for guys, for those that have not yet, which in our profession, it would be hard to believe, but who haven't read Cast to Be Chiropractors. So we have the green books in our profession, right? Well, Liam Schubel's created the red books. He has created Cast to Be Chiropractors, one of my absolute favorite books that I read at least once a year at a minimum. I bring it on a flight with me, I read it. And then the Holy Grail of Business, Schubel's Holy Grail. But you guys, what Liam is teaching, Liam goes back to the fundamentals. Michael Jordan, everyone says when it comes to winning games, it's not a fancy shot. I mean, trick plays, Every once in a while it may happen, but it's the fundamentals. It's dribbling, it's shooting free throws, it's envisioning, envisioning that you're going to hit that every time. But going over the fundamentals in our businesses is absolutely critical. And I love, so Judd O'Grady shared that when you guys were in Egypt and Cairo, you guys are working with princes, delegates, the most influential people of the world. And I loved hearing Judd laughing his head off, saying, you guys are both adjusting princes, and all these incredible people. And he's hearing Liam in English, and these people are translating it into, was it Arabic, or what was the
Egyptian? It was Arabic. Yeah, Arabic.
And Liam's going, powerful, whacking him on the shoulder, adjusting him. Boom! Oh, you're gonna have an incredible day. And the translator's going back and forth, and that is exactly. Liam practices what he practices. He didn't say, oh, I'm in Egypt, I'm gonna have to change the way I do it. So I'm in Peru, that won't work here. Oh, I'm over here. Liam sticks to the fundamentals because he understands business. He understands that. So thank you for sharing that part.
And let me tell you that in working with those princes and those sheikhs, I will tell you that the power dynamic was fascinating, Jake. That they started up here and we were down here. We're not worthy. We're these lowly people in their country. And the dynamic completely changed to where we were up here after the thing. Because listen, it doesn't matter how much money they have, my friend. If they don't have optimal health, that money means nothing. That whole thing, the person who has health has a million different dreams. The person who doesn't have health has one dream. And when they were talking to us, now these are people, by the way, that have the best medical doctors in the world. I'll never forget this. One time I was, when I had to be 27 years old. I was just out of chiropractic college. And the owner of a gold mine, the largest gold mine in Peru, came in to see me. Now, this man, I would see him in the newspaper. He was hanging out with the Queen of Spain when she'd come to Peru to visit, right? This is a very high-level individual, owns a gold mine. And he flies with his wife every single year to the Mayo Clinic there in Rochester, Minnesota. And they do a full 1 week, 2 week series of exams to check every body part to make sure everything's working fine. Money, no object. We don't care. And, no insurance, all cash, right? So he came in to see me screaming bilateral sciatica, low back pain that he's had 25, 30 years. And I'm an upper cervical practitioner. So I'm not even going to touch his low back. That's the funniest part of this. So I find an upper cervical subluxation that can choke a horse. And I said, look, this is what we're going to do. So I tell the chiropractic story, I do the adjustment, and he comes back in the next day and he's like, you son of a bitch, I am hurting more than I've ever hurt in my life. I just said, look, I know we're moving things around that haven't moved forever, right? We're doing, and he got consistently worse symptomatically, Jake, for 30 days. And he was saying, the only reason I'm coming in here is because my daughters say you walk on water. That's what he said. That's the only reason I'm here. He goes, but I'm starting to think this is a sham. After 30 days, gone, no more pain, and off high blood pressure medicine, off aspirin because doesn't have headaches anymore, and the Tylenol, off the Tagamet because he doesn't have the stomach problems anymore. So if you can imagine, in Latin America, you probably know that many doctors that are unethical, they actually pay poor people to go on television with them and say, oh, I had moth-eaten alopecia, lymphogranuloma, inguinale, gout, and Dr. Schubel totally cured me, right? So they're making up a story. That never really happened. So people don't believe testimonials in Latin America when they see them on TV because they think the person's been paid to say that, right? Mm-hmm. Well, here I am with the owner of a gold mine in Peru on television, and he's talking about how great I am and how great chiropractic is and how great his life is now that he's been under chiropractic care. And I got to tell you, there was no one thinking that I paid him, the owner of a gold mine, to say that. And the moral of the story is these guys, no matter how rich, no matter how powerful they are just like you and I as far as their human bodies go. And they have the same dreams and aspirations for their life like you and I have. And they're willing to invest in people that have certainty, like chiropractors, that they have the ability to remove that obstruction to the optimal expression of their life force. And when they come across somebody that has that certainty and has that understanding of the innate life force, boy, they really resonate with it. And of course, when you can deliver the goods and show the results, it's an added plus. So, I think a lot of times chiropractors feel like we're second class or second rate. And I'm telling you this, again, I could tell story after story. Top medical doctor in Peru, 30, 40 years experience, came in the back door, not the front door of my practice, right? And I got him results where no one else had gotten him results. And he kept saying, I can't believe this guy who's 27 years old, it just taught this old dog, 40, 50 years of medicine. He goes, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought you guys were charlatans, He goes, but why I came here, I was totally desperate. And he goes, now I recommend everybody to you. And people say to me, but I heard this about chiropractic. I heard that about chiropractic. And he says, you probably heard it from me before I didn't know about chiropractic. He goes, it was my ignorance. And people say, why did the medical doctor tell me that? And I don't know. It has to be ignorance, because I can't see how anybody with a solid moral background could speak negatively about chiropractic. The only type of person that would say a negative thing about chiropractic is a person that's ignorant or that doesn't know it. And by the way, ignorant either on purpose or ignorant by default. So listen, we have the greatest thing. Chiropractic is the greatest service that I think was ever delivered to man and woman, because, and animals even, invertebrates, right? Because we're the only profession in the world that's highly trained to detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxation to remove that obstruction to the natural and normal life flow in a human being. And so we optimize whoever we touch. We optimize the life of experience of whoever we touch. And when you go into the office with that absolute, not belief, this is not a belief system. Oh, I believe in chiropractic. Well, I don't care what you believe. You cannot believe in chiropractic. It doesn't matter. Chiropractic still works, right? Dr. Sid Williams used to talk about, founder of Life University.
That's right, the keys.
With these keys, what do you believe? When I let go of these keys, do you believe they're going to fly up in the air? They're going to fly across the room? I don't care what you believe. When I release these keys, natural life force, the natural forces do what they naturally do. And when we remove the obstruction to that, life happens. And that's what you have to have a complete understanding. That's a huge difference in communication. Understanding versus belief. When you understand something, you leave behind that world of trying to convince people. I don't have to convince you that these keys are going to drop. I know these keys are going to drop, no matter what you believe and no matter what you're convinced of. What you're convinced of has no bearing on me. I understand what happens, and I'm going to deliver with what happens on every single visit in that office. And I'm not going to change my tune just because you believe or don't believe.
You guys, authenticity and certainty, when combined, holy cow, you are unfreaking unstoppable. And number one, did you guys see the atlas on Liam's? As long as I've known Liam always is authentic to who he is. Liam always is able to bring up chiropractic in every single realm that he's in right now. So I want to touch up on a couple of those points. So being certain, you hear these miracles like the sciatica. You hear all these, the migraines, the infertility every day. And when someone comes like, Doc, it's gone. Well, what were you expecting? I know that was going to happen. I know. Doc, you told me this would happen and that happened. Doc, you told me this would happen. Being certain. And the more you focus on chiropractic, the more in tune you get, and it will reveal its secrets to you. It will reveal how and exactly where this vertebral subluxation is compromising and limiting the potential life of the person in front of you. One of the things I learned from you, when that person lays down on my table, the world is literally laying at my hands. The world can change and will change by this adjustment, because the effects that's going to happen from that person is absolutely critical. I love that you're teaching us about certainty. I love, like you said, when you practice, you have to go to your businesses and ask questions. When I first heard you speak, I remember hearing you say that because you are on fire, because you had so much certainty in your skill set and in chiropractic, you're seeing over 1,000 people a week by yourself, and you still felt as if you were failing the world. And
That's
so
correct.
you had to create, you said, I'm seeing 1,000 people a week. I'm not even, this is nothing. I'm not helping. I'm not changing the world like I should. And that then changed the way you think that you can't do it by yourself, that you had to create teams and systems. So to the doctor that says, I can't, we've talked about the mindset and certainty. Now to the doctor that says, how? Liam, how do we create a team?
So
What is the
perfect.
first step to creating a team so that we can have the freedom that we deserve? Now, we have a lot of docs in this group that are multi-millionaires, but they want to make 10 now. We have docs that are barely making enough to pay their bills. I had a message last night. My biggest obstacle and concern right now is how am I going to pay my office bills and how am I going to pay my own bills? How? How am
Correct.
I going to do this? And he's
So,
working alone. So how do we get them to get teams to then create an abundance of wealth?
yeah, another great question. So let's back this up a little bit. We talked about To Be Chiropractors. That was written because I came back to this country and I saw that chiropractors were demoralized and they were, operating from a lack of authority. And I said, we got to shift that. The mindset is everything. But I'm sure you've seen it, Jake. Many people go to seminars, these what we call Spiz Fests, and Dr. Christopher Keg calls the people on stage Spiz Wizards, and they go because they're demoralized. Their practice, they're not successful, and they think, if I go there and I'm not enthused about chiropractic, if I go there, I get spizzed up, I get excited. I go back into my office on Monday, and sure enough, many of them the first week or two back report, wow, my practice has gone up. But then it starts to go down again. Yep. And now they need another injection outside in of Spiz. I could tell you, and this was the reason I wrote the second book, Schubel's Holy Grail of Business, was that what I realized is, certainly getting in touch with your why is hugely important, and getting in touch with chiropractic enthusiasm is hugely important. But if you go back in super enthused and do the same lack of systems that you have, you're going to fall flat on your face again. It's the systems that are creating failure in your office and your life and misery. So, doing the same horrible thing over and over, but being excited about it, it's not the solution in the end all be all. So Schubel's Holy Grail of Business was written to show the how behind creating those systems. And you mentioned Think and Grow Rich. I would also, make this parallel. Think and Grow Rich is about the mindset of a super successful, entrepreneur or individual. The book that I read that changed my life, and that was, when I was seeing 1,000 visits a week, which most people would say, "Wow, my God, that's the pinnacle of success." A lot of people would say that are into seeing volume, and I felt like it was a failure because I could only see that. I was topped off at that, and I wanted to see more people, and so I had this drive to. Again, I'm always looking to see more people and serve better. Those are the two questions I have in my life. How can I see more people, and how can I serve the people I'm already seeing better? That's what keeps me up at night.
So real
gets
quick,
me up in the,
real quick on that, you guys. What Liam just said, he has told me that for 10 years. Liam has said, I wake up every morning and say those two things again, Liam. This is, you guys, He asked this question to himself every single day. Every single day, he asks these two questions every day.
And I do a meditation on it, which anybody who's watching, if they would like to receive that meditation, this is the meditation I use to get to 1,000 visits a week. That might not be your goal, but I'm sure if you want to go a little higher, it'll help. Send me an email, liamschubel@gmail.com, and I'll send you that meditation free of charge. So yeah, I wake up in the morning and I do a meditation, and the meditation is about how can I see more people and how can I serve the people I'm already seeing better. And that mindset came from a book called Lead the Field. Lead the Field, another great one. But when I was seeing 1,000 a week, and I started to do that then between two practices because I wanted to open up more offices, what I realized is that I was spreading myself very thin. And this is what happens to people that open up multiple offices. They end up seeing the same amount of people, but over multiple offices. So they have more expenses now, and they're seeing the same amount of people. I realized I needed to bring someone down quick. And I honestly could tell you that I felt if I could see 1,000 people a week, I really honestly thought that I was nobody special. So if I can do it, anybody could do it. And you have the tendency, it must be because this market is better. It must be because the people here are smarter, right? You don't think it's you, it's anything to do with. So I hired my first associate. They came down and they very quickly dropped the practice almost to zero and left and hated me and hated the office and hated everything about chiropractic. And of course, I blamed them and blamed everything about them. And, and then I did the same thing with a second associate and the same thing with another associate. And then somebody said to me, check this book out. It's really changed my life. And it was called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Yep, that's right.
And when I read that book, I said, holy grail of business. This is awesome. And what it does, the E-Myth, it talks about a personality-driven based practice or based business, which is what I had, and a systems-based business, which is what I needed to have to move and expand to the next level. And so what I found was I was just, I thought, look, I was successful. It's the environment. I throw the associate in there. If they're a good person, they're going to be successful. And what I realized was that I could quantify what it was that I was saying and doing in the office. And I could use that quantification then as a training system for the new doc that was coming down. And so I started to, you quantify and then compartmentalize. So you say, I want to expand. What are the different components of expansion? Now I take those different components, separate them out, and then build teams around each one of those components. Or you could say, what is it that I don't like doing? What is it that I love to do in the practice? And what is it that I don't love to do in the practice? If I'm focused on what I love doing, don't you think that's going to grow? Yes. Okay, so get me focused on that. If I quantify, compartmentalize, and delegate those things that I don't like doing or don't have a talent in doing, don't you think that aspect of my business is going to grow? And the answer is yes. Because just like I hate marketing, there's somebody who loves marketing.
Yes.
Just like I hate legal terms, there's somebody who lives for being an attorney. Just like I can't stand taxes and economics and all that, there's somebody that's their passion. And so you need to find the people that are passionate about the things that you dislike doing and are putting off in your life. Because I can tell you, the things that you're putting off right now are the exact things when you say, what do I need to do, Dr. Schubel, to get to the next level? You need to confront the things that you're putting off confronting because you don't like to do those things. And you need to identify them, quantify them, then compartmentalize them, and then delegate people and create teams around those things. And all those compartments work as in unison, just like your body has a bunch of body parts, but the end result of each body part, right, is so that you express your life optimally. Each part is crucial to your body functioning optimally. Well, each part of your business is crucial to that business expressing itself and propagating itself throughout the world. So that's the way we look. It's almost like a holistic way of looking at business. If you think about it, it's a holistic way of looking at business. And of course, the more holistic, the more aligned we are with universal principles, the more success we're going to have. When we get outside of that and we become mechanistic and we're only thinking about these specific aggravating factors, that's when we start to trash the whole deal because we're not focused on systems. So I found that very quickly, Jake, once I was able to systematize my business, and the E-Myth was my guide for that, and then I took it and wrote Holy Grail of Business, applying those principles to chiropractic practice. And by the way, not just chiropractic practice. I use that to help attorneys to expand their operations, to help accountants to expand their operations. I have dental friends that are expanding their operations, medical doctor friends that are expanding their operations. So these systems work, in every part of life. And as you know, I've used these same systems to take Sherman College of Chiropractic from going under. My first meeting was we have to develop a contingency plan. Contingency plan for what? Oh, for shutting down the school. Oh, no. Not on my watch. How are we doing things here? And by the way, we had a personality-based chiropractic college, and why are you doing this? Oh, well, because this is how we've always done it. Well, that's failing. We need to change that. So I went in there and started moving the cheese. And by the way, when you move people's cheese, you make some enemies, right? So at times I think at this point, I'm a person non grata at Sherman College of Chiropractic, but Sherman College of Chiropractic wouldn't exist if we hadn't systematized it. And that's what I brought to the table on that. IFCO was at its lowest point, the International Federation of Chiropractors and Organizations. When I left as president, we were at the highest point in its history. Again, it's not me, it's the business systems that I implemented into the organization. Politics, I'm involved now in local politics, same thing. We had a political party that was losing. So I said, okay, what have we been doing to lose? Now let's do the opposite, right? So, oh, wow, that's a great idea. Okay. You mean we don't just keep doing the same thing over and over and hope that we win, right? And so now we're winning in the political sphere. And so what I'm basically telling you, if you're listening to this program intently, is that, sure, these business systems are going to help your practice. Sure, these business systems are going to help your life to create more time freedom, more financial abundance, and greater clinical outcomes. But I'm telling you that these business systems can be used to increase, propagate, promote, optimize any other thing that you're passionate about in your life. I'd say even your family. You could systematize certain things about your family. Somebody once said to me, how do you have a good relationship with your wife? And I said to them, well, how much time do you spend with your wife? What activities do you plan with your wife? Right? Well, none, when we think about it, like we don't really have a plan. I said, well, how would your business be if you didn't set down specific action steps and items and things to work on in marketing, for example? If you just left it to, if we think about it, if we feel, we'll do some marketing, right? Your business wouldn't be great. Well, it's the same thing about personal relationships. It's the same thing about family. I make sure that I have time set aside for my wife, for my children, for my parents. Thank God they're still alive, right? Because we know that this isn't going to last forever. So the things that we're doing in business, we have to make sure that we're not negating the beauty of why, a great part of why we're doing these things in business. There's nothing better than celebrating business success with a family that is successful together. That's a huge win on all parts, and your relationship with whoever your person above. Like I focus on my religious beliefs, or my beliefs with spirit, because I know that this is not the world we're in right now. Is not the whole game plan. There's going to be another plan after this, right? So there's that's going on, and then I focus on my work and I focus on my family. Those are the three major things I've been focused on. But what I've focused on a lot more lately is politics, because I've realized that everything that we love in life, our practice, our businesses, our family, our healthcare choices, right? That's all controlled by politics. So everything you love in this world can be taken away from you because of politics. Ask Ukraine how important politics is right now in the world. Ask the average American right now who's paying, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9 a gallon at the tank, and who goes to buy some blueberries for $8 or $9. I remember when I was in London and I was at Harrods, blueberries were like $13, $14, $15 for a tiny little container, and I was like, well, it's Harrods, like you expect to pay a ton more in London. Now, everywhere is Harrods, thanks to the political leadership we have in this country. So listen, we could change that, but we have to understand how it works, how the systems work, and then use those systems to our advantage. And I'm telling you that there's so many people that have gone before you that have had the same struggles, the same exact challenges. Hello, including me, right? I didn't start at the top either, and we've learned through the school of hard knocks. The great news about you watching is you don't have to go through. You're only suffering for two reasons: ignorance and lack of contact with somebody that can help ameliorate all those problems by helping you systematize your life. The only person who's choosing to suffer right now is you. I didn't know. I had no idea who had these answers. As soon as I had the E-Myth and I started to apply it, as soon as I read Think and Grow Rich and started to apply it, guess what? My entire environment changed, because you control The environment around you is a manifestation of who you are. You want to create a better environment around you, create a better you. Focus on working on you, and you watch the whole world around you start to change.
Liam, that is so powerful. The world is exactly what you think it is.
That's right.
It's exactly what you think it is.
That's right.
You hit something so hard. Peralta's principle of the 80-20, right? You guys, when I would feel like, and I've never been to 1,000 people a week in my practice, but I remember saying, gosh, I am so spread thin. How could I set up another one? Because I was doing it by myself. The best thing I ever did is when I hired my office manager, and then shortly after 3 other employees, then 4 employees, then now 8 employees, another associate, because I understood, what do I really love? What lights me up? And what brings me money? So if there's something that lights you up that doesn't bring you money, well, you have to be sure that you have the money to do the things that light you up. You can just because you can, you can monetize almost anything, but you need to be able to focus. So thank you for teaching us about that, about being your best self and having a vision, because the bigger the vision, the bigger the life. That's a quote directly by Liam Schubel. The bigger your vision, the bigger you'll grow. The more you'll grow, the faster you'll grow with velocity. You have to focus on the things that you are incredible at. You have to focus on the things that only you can do that can bring money. You shouldn't waste your time on minimum wage tasks. You need to be able to delegate those things. And the more you can delegate, the more teams you can get, the more you can focus on the things that bring you money. And that's how growth happens. You're stagnant at 100,000, a million, 2 million, because you don't have the right teams or systems and the vision to accomplish that. You guys, so I want to give you some opportunities to get to know Liam. So if you go to the chiropractorsedge.com, we have Liam's books. Both his books are on there that you guys can purchase. We're gonna in our coaching system. So if you look again at the Chiropractor's Edge, we're all about triage and bringing people to the right mentors and collaboration. Collaboration is king, because when the tide rises, all ships rise. So also on the chiropractorsedge.com under coaching, you'll see Liam, the Schubel Vision Elite. I've been a member of the Schubel Vision Elite. Best decision I ever made in my life, because literally I'd given my last pennies. My wife and I, Emma, gave our last pennies to Sherman College. We'd literally given everything away. And I was like, and I think at the time it was like $75 a month or $99 a month.
Yeah.
And we're like, we don't have that. But I knew that implementing the right principles, focusing on my skill set, on creating the systems to be able to grow, that we would get there. And now it's just, I guess, so if you guys notice, Liam's got his hat on, the Yankees. I said, oh my gosh, hey, my associate and I are flying out next month to a Yankees game, just for a weekend, no big deal. Because it's a goal of his to be able to visit every stadium in the country, and we're going to go do it together as a part of hitting one of his bonuses. You're only limited by your vision. You're only limited by how fast you can run. You're limited. That's what Liam was running fast, hitting 1,000 people a week, and still felt he was failing. So he created the systems. He has a great personality, but if you can create the right systems and train people by understanding what are their skill sets, and then how can you plug and play their skill sets according to your systems, you will be unstoppable. Liam, I owe everything to you. I owe the relationships I've created. I owe so much to who I am and to what I've achieved because of you, and the systems that have been created and the opportunities and freedom that I have. I am utterly grateful for you. Please follow Liam Schubel again. Liam, give us your email one more time.
So my email is liamschubel@gmail.com, and the webpage is schubelvisionelite.com. schubelvisionelite.com. And Jake, I got to tell you, from the moment I met you, I knew you were an all-in type individual. And again, the people that are successful are all-in type individuals. You don't do anything half rate. You do it all full on, full in, all the time. And you're an implementer. And so this is what I'm talking about, by the way. Sure, I have financial success and abundance, but to watch Jake transform his life from where he was to where he is now, it's joy. You want to know what that joy is like? Watch your child, do something great in sports, or do something great in academics, or do something great in life. That's the same feeling I get when I watch Jake, or any one of the people in our mentorship group. move to a higher level of expression. It's the same feeling I get when I watch an associate come in the first day like a deer in headlights and leave our practice with this look, this 1,000-mile stare of certainty, saying, I'm going, I often say with our associate program, we create chiropractic paratroopers. We can take them in an airplane to any part of the world, drop them out with a parachute, and they'll come out with their pisiforms blazing in whatever community that they land in, because they know who they are, they know what they do, they know why, and they have the systems behind them to back it up. And that is a powerful, powerful individual. And it's just so great to watch individual development and optimism. I mean, that's one of the reasons we got in chiropractic. We love to watch people optimally expressing their lives. And systems is just a way to optimally express your life and your practice and your business. And so it's something that should not be something that you put off. And Jake, as soon as I met you and I explained what we were doing, you pulled that trigger immediately. And I know you were pulling that trigger with your last dollar. So it meant even more to me. And I said, my gosh, we got to stand up with this guy. We got to really make sure we get him, moving. And you've seen the group that we have inside, like Frankie Hahn, Dr. Frankie Hahn, multi-million-dollar practice, cash mostly. And, Dr. Judd O'Grady and Dr. Daniel Murray, the team that we have inside of there, they live this. They've done this over and over again. And they see those new docs that come into the program and they say, welcome aboard. You have us on your team now. Let's rock and roll. Let's get you to a point where you have more time freedom, more financial abundance, and greater clinical outcomes. How does that sound? Let's get started. Let's move forward and let's win. Because it's not chiropractic that sucks. It's not chiropractic. It's not the community that sucks. It's not the economy that sucks. It's the inability to apply systems that is needing help and improvement. And that's what we do. And when we do it, it works just like the keys every single time.
The only thing, Liam, that I do have one regret. I do have one.
I remember this. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Is I didn't do it sooner.
Yeah. Yeah.
The limiting belief I had because I was looking at my bank account.
Right.
But understanding that I am a billionaire, I'm a multimillionaire, the money hasn't been deposited yet, but that mindset to be able to implement and put the right relationships into play and understand that this was going to happen. Like, well, you're saying, okay, Jake, you got to hire. I'm like, I got to hire. I can't even pay myself. Jake, you got to hire. And here's how you're going to do it. And here's where you're going to do it. And it was dead on. The only regret I had was not doing it sooner. Don't sit on the sidelines and watch people's lives pass by and deteriorate. Don't sit by and watch your life deteriorate. If you aren't making the money you deserve, if you aren't creating the time and freedom to be with those that you love most and that matter most to you, implement what we're talking about. Join Schubel Vision Elite. Jump into the Chiropractor's Edge. We're sharing everything that we learn, and our goal is to allow you to achieve your optimal potential as a chiropractor, to live like you said when you're with the princes of the princes, and you started here and then went there. That is the mentality. That is the mindset. That is the place for every single chiropractor. Liam, thank you for teaching us how to have a stronger and higher vision. Thank you for teaching us about systems, how to be certain in what you do, how the value that of asking questions, right? The quality of our questions will determine the quality of our answers. A lot of times we jump into office just, pisiforms blazing, but the team is going to be lost. We have to ask questions and hear what are the problems, and then the solutions will come. Thank you for teaching us this. I love what you live. I love what you practice. I love the freedoms that you get to go to Thailand for 6 months, to love your family, because those are things that bring you joy, that are afforded to you by the systems that you have created that are abundantly successful. We love you, Liam. We appreciate you. And I can't wait to have you on again, my man.
Thank you, Dr. Jake Hansen. Been always a great pleasure to spend time with you. And I must say, I get interviewed all the time I've been on probably hundreds of podcasts. You've asked some of the best questions that I've ever been asked inside of a podcast. So I really think the value that you're providing to your listeners through the quality of your questions is unparalleled in any other podcast that I've been on. So I thank you. I appreciate you. And I applaud you for what you're doing with the Chiropractor's Edge and the podcast that's related to it.
Awesome. I love you. That means so much as my mentor, as my dear friend. I appreciate you. I thank you. And the next time we do this, we're going to be even more abundantly blessed. But until next time, Liam, let's be elite.